like now?
Yeah.
On the AmityCast? Is that right?
Yeah.
My name is Elias, kind of.
My name is Matthew.
And it's time to discuss the new film that's out, the hit Candyman.
Yeah, I mean, it came out.
It did come out. It's a complete original. Not like a sequel to a 90s film.
Wait.
Okay, fine. It is a sequel to a 90s film. Pretty good 90s horror film. One of the best of the 90s, I'd say. I mean, you haven't seen the original Candyman, correct?
No, I was going to, but then like I didn't end up having time. And I guess there'll be two different perspectives, I guess, since you're like a fan, I guess. At least you've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a decent fan. I definitely think the original it's a strong film. This new one, this 2021 edition, it's very connected in some ways, in thematical senses, as well as just like, as far as like how messaging goes. So
yeah, I was kind of confused with like the marketing and stuff because I couldn't tell if it was like a sequel or not.
Right.
Yeah, and then like
it was a tad weird. I didn't know until like a couple weeks ago like what it actually was supposed to be.
And like I know they said that Tony Todd was in it like from the beginning, but like they never said like what type of role. So
right.
He did show up for like a minute, and he was like mentioned a few times.
Yeah, which I guess I'll say I'm gonna give a spoiler warning for the original and this one because I'll probably talk about the original with the 2021 release. So yeah, but like I gotta say, I definitely enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it as an experience more than I expected. Probably not much more, but a bit more.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. This and Free Guy kind of surprised me a little bit because they were a bit better than what I thought they would be. So, and then
I think Free Guy was like impressive. I didn't expect it to be like as good as it was, which I mean I don't think it was like great, but it definitely like delivered for sure. And I'm definitely gonna say the same thing about this new Candyman. It definitely delivers.
Yeah, because I know like you were kind of like questioning like what was even like the reason for this existing, because it just kind of seemed like why now do this movie.
Yeah, that is how I thought originally, and I still I still did pretty much. But then looking into it, finding out that it was more of like a spiritual sequel, like a requel, whatever, kind of like Halloween 2018.
And the new Texas Chainsaw.
What?
And the new Texas Chainsaw coming out.
There is?
Did you hear about that? They're making a new one. That's like a direct.
I did not hear about it.
That's a direct sequel to the original, and they're bringing back.
They're doing a sequel again.
And they're bringing back the main character from the first one, but it's a different actor. And I think the guy that's like producing it is the guy that did the Evil Dead remake. But I heard like yesterday that apparently Netflix bought the rights, so that does not sound good at all.
Well, I knew that was rumored. I didn't hear any of this, so that's...
Yeah, it's already filmed. It's like it's done. Apparently they did test screenings and like it was awful.
Okay, well that's good. Big fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so very excited for that.
Old Man Leatherface.
Love it. We really don't eat that.
Well, you're getting it.
What?
You're getting it. It's kind of like when we totally asked for prequel films to Alien.
Yeah, we got that. I know that I guess the planned new Exorcist movie is also supposed to be like a
direct sequel
to the original.
And it's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just like a trend that's like popped up pretty much since like Halloween 2018 and like Leprechaun Returns kind of. It's just kind of like become a thing. Like you just like redo it. Halloween 2018 specifically because it's a direct sequel to the original that ignores the other sequels, and it's the same title, which is frustrating. I really don't like that it's like the same name, but
Yeah, because that's what this movie does, and this one also follows directly. Like, the main character is even from the first movie.
Yeah, which was actually a pretty effective twist, especially for people that like followed the original.
Well, was the guy that was the girl that played his mom? Was she also in the original?
It looks like her, but she doesn't look old enough.
Yeah, she was also only in one scene, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But...
Yeah, I don't know the whole plot of the first one outside of the brief explanations in this one, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I liked the exposition in this movie.
I like the little drawings or whatever they did. It was really inventive.
Yeah, that was really cool. And in the beginning, like, it definitely, like, when, like, the guy was like, oh, I have a scary story to tell, it definitely, like, clouds some of the details in the first one. Which I think is just kind of a good representation of how the story works in the universe, which is really cool. And then, like, it gets explained further a bit more as you go throughout the film.
Yeah, and then the cool lore that they have, like, there's, like, multiple Candymen, or at least, like, people that have been a part of the legend. And that the Tony Todd was, like, the first one, which is why we see him at the end, probably.
Yeah, I mean, my theory is that whichever, like, Candyman story you read about, and, like, if you bring it up...
Yeah, I heard that, yeah. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
I heard that on Dead Me, I think, because they said, like, the reason why they have that different Candyman is because that's the one that the guy heard about. And the girl...
Okay, yeah, I haven't
and the girl...
Yet.
Yeah, because, like, that's exactly what they said. And the girl from the first movie, she heard about the Tony Todd Candyman, so that's why she saw him.
Right, I never knew about the original, so that's the one that... Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. I think it makes a lot of sense that there would be multiple, and I think it's a good, like, representation of the messages. Just like the first one, this was very heavily about, like, segregation and, like, the differences between people and, like white people and black people and, like, their neighborhoods and how, like, messed up they are. The original's a very, like... It's a very visceral example of looking at race and stuff like that, and, like, it's, like, received a lot of criticism for that, but also praise for how it handles it. It's really weird. And this one's it's a good, like, metaphorical way to represent that, like, how, like, that, like, continues throughout the time, like, whether, like, they think, like, racism and everything gets better, like, kind of like how, like, there's multiple Candymen throughout time.
Yeah, the only thing that's kind of weird is because, like, I forgot the name of the guy that was in the beginning, that was, like, the Candyman in that time. Like, why did he have a hook for a hand, though?
Sherman?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it just, like, every single one of them gets a hook for some reason?
It's just the motif, bro. I mean...
I know, but, like, he was, like, giving candy to kids and he just already had a hook.
Yeah, I don't know the actual, like, reasoning behind that.
There probably
really
is.
explain it.
Like, they do explain it with the main character in this one, which was a very disturbing scene when he just gets his hand chopped off and a hook shoved up it. It was kind of disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, that character, that, Burke, whatever, William Burke, like, kind of like it makes you, like, a little twist where he's, like, oh, like, actually, like, he's like, forcing this guy to, like, rush him into becoming a Candyman, so, like, he can either end the cycle or whatever he's trying to do with it. It was kind of weird. I didn't really get that part. That
villain was kind of...
I didn't love the ending in general, so...
Yeah, that villain just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he was, like, throughout the movie, but then just randomly was kind of, all of a sudden, this crazy kook. And
right.
And, he wasn't, like, bad acting. It was just kind of... It was very rushed. That's why I heard a lot about this movie. Like, the first two acts are, like, really good, slow burn. And, like, the third act just kind of rushes through everything. It feels like there's, like, a good 20 minutes or something missing from this movie. That was probably cut out.
Yeah, I think it's pretty strong, just good, like, build-up horror. It does a good job with that. It's got some really good scenes, some disturbing stuff.
The kills are
really
pretty good.
Shot. I really like the visual direction, art direction with it.
Yeah, the kills are also pretty good. The two that died in the art, like, museum thing, where they were, like, trying to, like, have sex or whatever, and then all of a sudden they got, like, the girl got, like, her whole neck, like, hacked. It was pretty disturbing. And then how they utilized, like, mirrors was also really good in this movie, with, like, a lot of the kills. Especially that one scene where the main character, like, sees Candyman in the mirror, and, like, they touch, like, hands, and, like, it's a really weird, eerie scene.
Yeah, that was a really good scene. I really enjoyed how they handled that one. That and the elevator scene were both incredible.
Yeah, the elevator scene was pretty creepy.
it was like a good way to showcase the character, like the primary character, and how he was kind of just like descending into madness because of all the Candyman stuff, and now he's like becoming Candyman, which was interesting. I didn't really know what to expect with like how like the character development would go and how the characters would play into the Candyman story, but they did a really good job with that. I think it was interesting enough, and it does a good job playing on the concepts that like hero was like fine from the first film, doing a good job with that source material.
Yeah, and it really makes sense to use the baby from that first movie like in a story later on. I don't know what they did for the two sequels story wise, but this one seems a lot more like organic and makes sense.
Yeah, the original Candyman got two. They were direct to DVD sequels, and they were both pretty bad. Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh, and Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. They're both pretty. They kind of just become like cliche slashers, just with like a guy. Tony Todd replaces the role in each one, and every time in those two, his performance is the only thing keeping it from being just absolute trash of cinema. Honestly, they're really bad.
Yeah, I was glad to hear that he was in this one, so that was always good to hear.
Yeah. Because what's great about the original Candyman was that it was a really fresh, original, unique horror film that had a lot to say, and like it said what it needed to, at least what it wanted to. The two sequels that came after were just kind of cash grab slashers, which were really stupid. But this one feels a lot more like homage to that original. How like it's got a statement to make, but it doesn't like beat it over your head completely. And they did a good job delivering it overall.
Yeah, some of the messaging was like maybe a little bit much, but I feel like it was enough, and it wasn't like, I know a lot of people have been complaining about it, but I don't think it's like nearly as bad as people said. I mean, it's a little overt a few times, but it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it really.
I know the first one did that. I know the first one had messaging as well, so it's like I don't really know what we're expecting.
Right.
Yeah, and then yeah, there's clearly a lot of respect for the original in this one, because you know they could have easily just kind of made a new Candyman and just kind of completely forgot about the Tony Todd version of the character, but they integrate it well. They make him the original Candyman, and then they even have him in the end, which is like they didn't have to do that.
Right. I think it was really cool because it kind of like course corrected what the sequels did, because a lot of that was like some of the canon they tried to introduce, like this was Candyman, he was like originally a slave or whatever and all this stuff, and like he was like the Candyman, but this one's like actually he was just the original. And instead of like using that backstory in like a stupid way, it actually kind of twisted it pretty well.
Yeah, and then what they did with the main character's hand the whole movie was pretty disgusting. That was very.
I think it was it was a bit of body horror thrown in there, and then like
once like
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but like, and like once you see in the mirror like they touch like hook to hand, like then you realize what's gonna happen to that hand, and.
Right, I don't know how I didn't pick up on it sooner that like that hand was like, you know, after like the bee stung him, was like the bee thing with Candyman and like all that. That was really cool. Like the overall progression of that, like if you were able to notice the hand changing and like getting progressively worse.
Yeah. Also,
that was really cool.
That scene at the very beginning with the hole in the wall was like really fucking creepy.
Right, that was a great introduction. I think it really sets the tone well, and I like how they kind of explained it like not too long after the opening, and it was like kind of like.
Yeah, because then you think like you kind of like you're like why is this here? Because this kid isn't the main character, but then he ends up being a character. So.
Right, ends up being a really important character, and then like overall, just the way they set that up, and then they kind of like shed new light on it later on.
Also, what I just
the guy isn't necessarily evil, but.
What I just realized was funny is because in that scene the kid's doing laundry, and then the main character like runs the laundromat. I didn't realize that. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I thought about that. That was kind of a cool little connection to that scene, and
it's kind of a good like story thing to be like he's still holding on to that past part of himself.
Right. Yeah. I think overall it was really impressive. It did a pretty good job holding things throughout. There were a few arcs they kind of brought up, and then just kind of like they just kind of petered out.
Yeah, like his girlfriend too just kind of was a part of the third act and didn't really do too much, except at the end scene when she like looked in the mirror and said it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool, but it was kind of clunky at the end. How like it was just like, oh, now she could just summon Candyman. And Tony Todd's cameo was great. It was great to see him, but the way he was like tell everyone It was like, wait, how is she like this involved now? Like why did this happen like narratively? I don't really get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a sequel, but I don't really know if it needs one.
Maybe.
I don't know what they would do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works already.
I don't know if
like,
they thought that this movie would be
I
don't know if they thought this movie was going to be a success or not, because I didn't think it was going to be nearly, because I don't know how much the budget was.
Yeah, it was definitely more than an experiment, but it wasn't something that I don't think was intended to be like a new, like, big, like, thing, so.
Yeah, and did you know because the director of this movie is it's a black woman director, so this was like a big deal since it made a lot of money. But did you know like her next project is Captain Marvel 2?
I actually did know that, which is like.
That's gonna be interesting.
I'm not excited for it,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious because it was well directed.
Yeah, I really liked her direction in this one. I think it was visually very interesting throughout.
Very good
and it stayed
camera
compelling
work.
along with the story, so.
Yeah, very good camera work throughout.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the kills,
overall,
like that one kill with the critic, where like you thought that she did it, but then like they make you think she didn't, but then like you say like a long shot and like she gets murdered and like you can almost barely see it. That was like very well done.
Right.
I really liked that.
That was really good. It was a great example of like just something that was actually like horrifying. That was really fantastic, I think.
I really liked the bathroom scene too with the schoolgirls. That was good.
That was cool.
It was kind of randomly placed. Like I feel like it was just there to like kill more people because like it didn't really have any plot significance. Because it was in the trailer. Because like obviously that would be in the trailer. But and then one question with the original Candyman, because like a lot of the kills in this one, you kind of see him like levitating. Is that like what he did in the original?
Kind of, yeah. It was kind of a thing where like they show the shots where like Helen, the main character, she can see him, and like she's like there and she sees Candyman killing these people, but then it cuts to like actual reality and like Candyman isn't actually in the room, and like how like people are just being killed by a presence that isn't there. And like they did a little bit with like that like levitation thing, but like it was definitely amplified in this one. It wasn't like
it was like really that's like a really like creepy thing to see though in the movie, him levitating like that. So I kind of like that.
Right.
Because it was just such like a weird pose. And then I don't know exactly why he did that, but it was cool.
It was definitely cool. There were a lot of like little stylistic decisions I really enjoyed. I mean, overall the story, I think it'll be compelling for the average viewer. I mean, I had like some issues, but it was still pretty well done. It just kind of like the ending wasn't great, and overall it kind of like the pacing like toward the end was pretty bad. It was well paced up until that point. Like you said, the beginning was like a good slow build, and then it's just kind of like
there was also that gay couple, which was like it was fine. It wasn't like overly handled or anything, but they just kind of disappeared. I thought they were gonna die at one point, but like they just kind of disappeared. Because they kept bringing up not to say it, and like it would be stupid to say it. So I thought they were eventually gonna do it and then die anyway. So, but they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, they were just kind of like a casual gay couple, really. There wasn't really much else to it, which is like, I mean, it was fun.
And then
not like really complaint. The character development there was
also there was the girlfriend of the main character. They have like that whole like tiny subplot about her dad killing himself, but then like it really has no plot bearing whatsoever.
Yeah, that's one of the arcs that they kind of bring up. They do this with like a few different things to that. Like it's just kind of brought up, and then that's kind of it. There's really not that much else to it. And with that, it's like. I mean, they could have played a lot on the parallels of how, like, I guess he was an artist, like her dad was an artist, and then she was with an artist.
Yeah, definitely, because they do have a line about that, and then that's it. And then what was I gonna say? Well, that definitely I think shows me that there's probably some extra footage that was left out, and I'm definitely interested if they do release like an extended cut, because this movie is successful, so they might do that.
Right, yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like there was a little to be desired narrative-wise with some of that stuff.
This movie feels very self-contained. Like I have no idea how they would even continue this story. Really.
Right. I mean, I definitely agree with that.
Without being repetitive.
It seemed like there was character focus, but it was kind of like biased character focus, if that makes sense. Like it relied on some characters and it introduced other stuff, and it was just kind of It wasn't like incredibly handled.
The music, I'm thinking the opening credits was pretty good, but otherwise I didn't really remember anything.
Wait, what?
Were you talking about the music?
I was talking about the characters.
Oh, I thought you said something about the music. I mean, the music was pretty good. I don't really remember much of it. But...
I will say, it was definitely well scored. I'm a pretty big fan of the score of this one. It wasn't like the best. I think it was good. The original has an incredible score. The score is one of the best parts of it. That's what really made it so atmospheric and great. The original Candyman. With this one, it was just it was all right.
Halloween Kills score though is going to be pretty good.
Well, it's John Carpenter. John Carpenter always scores well. That's just kind of how it is. Even if the movie's bad.
Well, yeah, the first release track is already amazing. But yeah.
Which, overall, I mean, I'd say my final thoughts were that it was really good horror. I enjoyed the story. It wasn't as compelling as I wished, and they kind of struggled with some of the extra arcs and a lot of the character development. But overall, it's great visually. It does an incredible job connecting to the original, but standing pretty well on its own. I think it really impressed me in that way. It was a little better than I expected. I honestly expected it to be good going in, just based on some of the prior knowledge I got right before viewing. Overall, I enjoyed it. I'd say I'd probably rewatch it. I would recommend it to horror fans. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd give it an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's definitely probably a 7 out of 10. And I definitely recommend it. It's a good theater movie. Take a date to, or go with some friends or something.
Yeah, definitely. Really good atmosphere. I do think the score was great. It just kind of lagged sometimes, but at its peak, the score was incredible. It was definitely well composed, throughout. I think.
The story was pretty well done. It had a lot of little twists and turns, and it wasn't predictable, which is good. And it was.
Yeah, there wasn't little predictable twists, and normally with twists that aren't predictable, the problem can be they're not even believable. But
yeah,
I think it at least made some sense in this case. And overall, it definitely wasn't bad.
Probably a good reason behind why it's not as predictable or as mainstream is because Jordan Peele was heavily involved and he helped to write it. And while I'm not a fan of Us, I wasn't a big fan of that movie. I know he's really good filmmaker, so he probably helps a lot with making this film feel very fresh and not just Candyman again. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of Jordan Peele's writing. I mean, he definitely seems to have an inherent focus and what he tries to write about, because Get Out and Us were very similar thematically, and they had different ideas, but they were kind of presented in the same way. And he did the screenplay for this one, and he did a good job with it, I think. But it's definitely it felt thematically similar to those two movies. And I'm a pretty big fan of Get Out. I think Us was also pretty good. This one is kind of in the same vein as Us, I think. Around
yeah, just my biggest problem with Us was just some of the leaps in logic. It didn't make enough sense, but as an experience, it was very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen Get Out, but I've heard great things. So.
Yeah, Get Out was pretty good. It definitely it had a focus and it delivered on its messaging really well. I mean, that's kind of what this one is. It doesn't hit you over the head, but it definitely has clear messaging. It can be a little much at times, but I mean, if you are in it for that reason, then it definitely does a great job for it. So.
Yeah, it has some pretty good themes. Brings up a lot of stuff. One weird scene was kind of it was fine. It was just kind of weird because it was a little funny because when they show the flashback when the kid screams in the laundromat and the cops go down to kill the guy, 20 cops go down there, and I was where did these guys come from? Why are they all just murdering this dude?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was just okay, well,
I don't think 20 cops.
They just moved the kid out of the way to go viciously murder this guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of okay, so what I was trying to say. And then when at the end when the cops walk in, and the girlfriend was there with the primary character, and then she had just killed the guy. They just kind of immediately shoot him. It's just it's kind of similar to the ending of Spiral, where kind of like the messages that the cops just gonna immediately shoot in like the scenario.
Yeah, that police massacre at the end was pretty sweet. And like the lines Candyman says at the end, like I couldn't hear little parts of it. It was like a little too deep, but like it was pretty good, pretty ominous.
Yeah, that was really good.
Because that was one thing.
And it definitely.
That was one thing. Yeah, that was one. That was one thing with the Candyman. Like throughout this movie, that was like the one from the very beginning of this movie. Like he didn't really talk much at all.
Right.
Yeah, because I know Tony Todd did in the original, I believe. So.
Yeah. Tony Todd also had like narration and like all that stuff, so it was like. It's like, yeah, the ending is definitely like punctuated on the message and like what it was trying to be. It did a good job capping off the narrative, I think. So
yeah,
overall, I definitely recommend it as a watch. It was a good experience, especially for horror fans, I'd say. So
yeah, it was pretty solid. Yeah, I'd recommend it. I guess if you're not a fan of body horror or messaging in horror movies, don't watch it. But I don't see why you wouldn't be.
Yeah. That's true, yeah.
And I guess if you don't like movies like Get Out or Us, this might not be for you because it does have the feel of those movies a little bit.
Yeah, it is similar. So I mean, if you plan on seeing it, definitely go in kind of with that lens. It does differ a bit, but like it's similar for sure.
Yeah, and while I didn't see the original and I still enjoyed it, it seems like you recommend to definitely watch the original before you see this one for like the full effect.
Yeah, I'd say as far as quality, I'd put these two kind of on par. I think the original's still a little bit better because it does a bit better with pacing and with character writing overall. It's a bit stronger, but they're definitely connected very well, and I think they're both high quality horror films. So I would definitely recommend them both personally.
Yeah, like a good watch both of them kind of thing. But,
yeah.
Because I feel like if you watch the original and this one, you'll kind of get the whole Candyman, like. You'd get the whole idea of Candyman. You don't really need any more movies after that.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure we'll get a remake at some point in like 20 years or something, but this is probably good for now, I would say.
I'm sure it's probably not the end of like any like Candyman films at all, but at least for now, they should probably just stick with this because I think it's strong. I don't really see where else they would take it, but overall, I was impressed with it. So,
I mean, we gotta wait for Candyman Kills, so.
Candyman Ends is gonna be hype. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they have a good enough story and enough of the people come back from this movie, I'd at least be interested. But for now, I'm saying it's probably good as is, unless there's an extended cut somewhere.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that it's being successful. That is cool.
It came out at a good time because this is like before all the Marvel stuff and like October stuff's coming out, so it was a good time to release it.
Yeah. And August release is a little weird for an horror movie, but like just based on like the trajectory of this year and a lot of stuff that's coming out in October, it was a good call. And I think it was really good. It took place in 2019, which like there was like a lot of like little like set pieces that definitely like was devoted to that, like the kind of like the 2019 like era. So you know.
Yeah, and one cool thing I remember from the marketing was I remember when the final trailer came out like a week or two ago. Did you hear about that? Like you had to like say Candyman 3 times on like the website for it to like show up.
Yeah, you actually had to like go to like the website or whatever, and you had to say Candyman or something like that to like unlock like the secret final trailer. It was like a week before the release or something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And also, this is based off a Clive Barker story, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, because when I watched the Dead Meat podcast, they brought it up, and I was like, wait, he made Hellraiser and Candyman? Like, what? But...
Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, and then they name like the first guy that dies, like the asshole guy at the art gallery that like says he wants to do necrophilia, which was a really weird line, by the way. His name... Yeah, I mean... His name's Clive in the movie.
That character...
So...
Yeah, it is Clive, which is like cool. That character was really off-putting, I think. I mean, he was just like... He was like, don't do it. I want you to die. At least I'm not actually fucked. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be like a natural type of delivery? Like what someone would like a normal person would say? I don't know. Like maybe it is okay. I just don't understand like what that was.
Yeah, it was a good kill. It was a good setup, I guess. But like weird acting and delivery. Some of the acting was a little off, but most of like the main cast was pretty solid. So.
Yeah, overall, I think the lead actor, he did a decent job, at least.
Yeah, he was the villain from Aquaman.
Yeah, he definitely felt like someone that didn't want to become Candyman, but felt like he was. I think he did that really well.
Yeah, that scene of his mom was really good when he found out.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, that's probably about all I have to say about it. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. It was definitely good. I would say, like, decent at the very least. It has some issues, but, pretty much every film does. There's very few films that, like, elevated past that. I think it definitely delivers on concepts and overall connectivity to the original. And just being a good modern horror film. Very good visually. Overall, solid.
Yeah. Well, next week we'll be covering Shang-Chi, is that how you say it? Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi, I believe. I'm not, like, certain.
Yeah, well, we'll probably see it this weekend. We'll probably cover it next Wednesday. But, yeah.
Yeah, I assume that we'll be covering Shang-Chi next week, so...
Well, that's the only thing coming out.
That should be fun.
So...
Alright. If you enjoyed the discussion, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts on the new Candyman and the original if you've seen it, and also let us know what you want us to cover in the future.
Yeah. Have a great night or day, everyone.